Hi, everybody, it's me, Miss Jessica Lahore, and we're back with another Jess Talk. And today, baby, we are talking all about drag and how it creates queer joy and just joy in general. Now, before we get into this Jess Talk, make sure that you've done the normal checklist. You've subscribed to my YouTube channel. You hit that bell for notifications. You're also going to Spotify, iTunes, and following me and my podcast on all platforms, okay? All right, Jess Talk, queer, joy, and drag. Let's get into it.
Attention the whore, attention the whore, attention the whore, attention. Here I am walking down the street, seeing all the boys trying to take a peek. Shorts pulled up and chest out right. Come on, boys, just take a bite. Look but don't touch, spin it round and round.
So let's talk about queer joy and drag, okay? Because it's 11 years in the business for me. I'm 31, and I wasn't always so joyful and so empowered by what queerness was like. If we look back to like earlier forms of Zach, my out of drag name, I wasn't so cheerful and joyful. I was actually really suppressed. I was sad. I was angry at the world, confused with my identity. I had troubles connecting with people. I didn't like my job. I didn't like what I was doing. There's a lot of self-hatred, a lot of frustration, a lot of waking up and being depressed. And honestly, drag in many ways saved my life. Drag was joy for me, even in the darkest of times when I didn't realize it. When I started opening up my mind and finding that I was a positive queer human that was trans, non-binary, but also a drag performer, that joy just like leaks out of me now. But it wasn't like easy to get there at the start. I had so many influences from other drag artists that exuded joy in their day-to-day life, and because I was witnessing that, I wanted to do that. I wanted to be that. I remember coming from a place of hating drag, watching it from afar, being confused and calling drag gross, disgusting. I didn't want to be around it. I didn't want to watch it on TV until I saw one particular queen on stage do an incredible number, and I immediately said, I want to do that. The influence that drag has on other people is pretty wild, especially if your mind is willing to be open to be influenced. Drag not only causes folks to show up as their most authentic and unapologetic selves, it causes other people to feel like they have permission to show up the same, even in spaces where they may not know how to act or how to experience it. When I was first going to drag events, I was inspired by the elder drag artists in our community that constantly showed up on the stage and off the stage 100% themselves. It was beautiful. They found laughter and comedy in so many different styles of their lives, interaction with audience members, and just simply looking around the room at some of my earliest shows, the amount of people that were smiling, that were laughing, that were joking around with each other, realized how much power there is in drag to create joy for folks that you don't really know what's going on in their life. What I realized over the course of those 11 years, not only in my own self journey of now loving drag, appreciating drag, and realizing that this job is actually the best thing that I can wake up to and enjoy every single day. I wake up excited to be part of it and to influence others, is that as I progressed in my career and my art and my talent, I realized that I have a lot of power and control being on a microphone talking to hundreds of people a week. And my voice, my energy, the way that I show up in a space, the way that I interact with people, the jokes that I tell, the way that I run the event, the way that I address certain topics of conversation, all influence the joy and entertainment that myself as a queer person enjoys, the queer people in the audience enjoy, and even the spectators that don't identify in the queer community. Something I'm really passionate about is understanding that every time I'm on the microphone, there's this lack of understanding what the audience is experiencing in their day-to-day lives and what the artists are as well. And ultimately, regardless of what's happening in my day-to-day life, I need to show up for the shows that I'm at to provide a positive, joyful, queer experience. But it's also really important to acknowledge that of the people in the audience as well that are experiencing the show, most of which are experiencing it for the first time. And then you always have those folks that get just as addicted as I am and constantly show up back to back to back because when they're having a bad day, being around queer people or being at a drag show makes them forget about their bad day. When something traumatic happens in people's lives with their family or just maybe their job or just in general, a lot of people resort to queer spaces and drag events to feel better about themselves. People come to not only enjoy the art and entertainment and to absorb the confidence that the entertainer is bringing onto the stage, they're simply there to laugh and escape, to just feel good about something positive, funny, and joyful in the world.
The gays just know how to do stuff, you know? I mean, they're survivors. And for some reason, they're always obsessed with me.
We see it all the time that when people walk away at the end of the show, they always want to talk to the entertainers. They talk about following them online. They talk about experiencing this show for the first time. You have no idea how many folks come up to me and say, I've had the worst week. Somebody passed away. I hated myself so hard. I almost didn't show up. I thought about taking my life. I lost my job. I just got out of a breakup. And they said, this is what I needed to feel better about myself. The whole idea of drag entertainment is that you're walking into spaces, laughing a little bit harder, and feeling a little bit better about yourself than when you walked in. So that when you leave, you can spread the joy that we've thrown up on you to give to other people. People are impacted every single show. And some need it more than we realize. And that's coming from a place where I never, ever anticipated drag to be part of my day-to-day routine, part of my life, the thing that I eat, breathe, and sleep. And now I feel as though it's my mission as not only a drag artist and an influencer to provide that joy and that escape for everyone at every chance I get. And when I look back at the history of drag, back to the ballroom scene, and when we look at TV shows that are referencing the ballroom scene, it's pretty evident and clear that those ballroom spaces were the same reason. It was an escape for queer folks to feel safe, celebrate being queer, be over the top, let their inside person, which is what I think drag is, just boil out of them and celebrate it. To be happy, to dance, to sing, to lip sync, to move, to wear fabulous outfits. But I would argue that everybody, as RuPaul has said, is you're born naked and the rest is drag.
Born naked and the rest is drag.
Everybody is in drag. We just choose to show up a little bit louder, a little bit prouder, a little bit glitzier, a little bit glamour sometimes. Queer joy is infectious. If you allow yourself to be infected, whether you're queer or not, it can become the most powerful tool in your arsenal to use in every task and every challenge and every interaction of your life. You have to believe it. You have to manifest it, that that's what you want to experience. You have to manifest that positive energy, that queer joy that you want to have, that other people have. You have to be motivated to make it happen and to put it into action. And you have to be mindful of the spaces that you're in, the way that you're speaking to others, the way that you're coming across, the way that you show up for yourself and for the people around you in your community. Drag is a strong forefront to queer joy for so many people. And we've seen it locally in our communities, but we've seen it on an international level with things like RuPaul's Drag Race.
I love being here so much. I'm having an out-of-body experience. I love you so much. Thank you.
Oh, and RuPaul's Drag Race. RuPaul's Drag Race makes me so happy.
I fuck with RuPaul. RuPaul is God. RuPaul lives by, if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love anybody else?
Where people, celebrities, and people of all backgrounds, economic statuses, shapes, sizes, skin colors, sexual orientations, all have become obsessed with the phenomenon that is drags, the kings, the queens, and the in-betweens. It's pretty magical because people resort to watching this show because they get that good feeling out of it. They feel like they're part of the experience. They feel like they're on the journey with the entertainers. Queer joy oozes out of drag artists if we're doing it right. And there's some that haven't quite got there yet. Hey, everyone's on their own journey. I was on my own for quite some time before I figured it out. And now I can't think of walking into a space not putting that foot forward, that queer joy foot forward to influence myself and others. It's brought me from being the saddest person that I could ever be at my lowest point to the happiest, most confident, most effervescent, most loud, proud, colorful, beautiful person that you see in front of you. And that can be you as well. It's magical. It's magical when you see the switch. It's magical when you see people's eyes light up at a show. It's magical when you put somebody in drag for the first time and you see just the look on their face of who is that person? And baby, that person can be whoever you want it to be. And most of the time, that person is the person you've always wanted to show up as. If you've ever considered drag, especially in this climate, whether that's putting yourself into drag, showing up at a show, whether you've heard things in politics or heard things in the community, or you have seen it from afar, if you've only seen it on TV, here are a couple of things that I think can help get you to the next steps of finding the same joy that I'm describing to you that you can get from drag artists or just drag in general. The first is go to an event or a function that features drag. That could be an all ages family friendly space. That could be a full-on production drag show. It could be an adult space. It could be a bingo, a trivia, a game show. Go to an event that highlights drag of all varieties. Simply watch. Go in with an open mind. Allow yourself to laugh when people are laughing. Allow yourself to get on stage or to witness the joy people get from getting on stage. Okay? Put yourself in that space. The next thing that I would recommend is put yourself in the uncomfortable position to try drag once. As a business drag queen entrepreneur, as myself, as I identify as, I always say drag and sales are very similar. Everyone should try it one time. Everyone should try sales one time to get the experience, the technicality, the language, the rejection, all of it, all those feelings. And everyone should try drag as well. Ultimately, when you try it, that little inside person, all of those things that you may not even know that you're suppressing, the happiness is that in there, that transformation really changes the person you show up as. Make yourself a king, a queen, a wild thing. Try drag, not just on Halloween, but give it a shot. Put yourself in the makeup. Get someone to do it for you. Learn and practice. Maybe it's not for you, but you're more of an observer. That's fine, but immerse yourself in trying drag in some capacity. And you may find that you were missing that little lock and key moment to open up and be a little bit more joyful and positive in your life. And the third thing is living and showing up every day from when you wake up to when you go to bed as unapologetic and as authentically as you can. Ultimately, everyone that's watching this right now, you're in drag right now. The way that you style your hair, the makeup that you put on your face or lack thereof, the way that you groom your facial hair, the outfits that you choose to put on, the way that you speak, the way that your character shows up and presents itself, the way that you do your job, that's all drag. Sometimes you just show up a little bit brighter and a little bit more outrageous, but everyone is doing drag every day. The more that you suppress the things that you like to wear, the more that you suppress the way you show up and speak, that's just suppressing that queer joy. Remember, showing up in spaces, living unapologetically and authentically, allows people in that space to show up the same way. And when I talk about being unapologetic and authentic, that's really saying when you show up with joy or queer joy and the person that you actually are, you influence other people to feel more positive, to show up with their joy, to show up with their queer joy. Queer people are powerful. Queer, drag, and trans people have existed for all of eternity. And we're at the forefront of change, positivity, love, acceptance, and so much more. Drag and queer joy are mixed so tight, it would feel weird not to bring it up in this conference, in this summit. All right, everybody, that was today's Jess Talk, queer joy and the way that it's influenced me in my drag and how I think that it can influence you as someone that loves and appreciates drag. Tell me down below, how do you find queer joy? Or have you found queer joy through other people? Until next time, we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.